I'm going to help you out again, Terry,
Yes,
and not
go
just
ahead.
because of what you told me before. But this is going to be right to you. And if fans, if you're paying attention, you remember that it was all over the internet. This business about Uncle Julio's. Now, let me say this. When I left, and I wish I had made the point when I was here, but the funny thing is, with the female version of the word, it's Julia. It's not Julia. So I think that there's a legitimate question in there as to why the name Julia, we have no problem pronouncing that with the J, and we don't say Julia. But for some reason, when you saw Julio, he said Julio, and we say, well, listen, it's pronounced Julio. We know that, but does that lend any credence at all to his position?
No, because I don't think...
I didn't have a position.
Well, you said Uncle Julio.
But that's not a position. It was.
But wait.
I mispronounced it, and I maybe stuck with them. You know what I used to say? Is it Amish or Amish?
Amish.
Another one.
It's one of those things. You know how you get something in your head.
All right, well, listen, I was trying to help you out, but fine, you blew it.
There's no Julia in Spanish. Like, you're not going to go to Mexico and find somebody named Julia.
I'm not sure that that's true.
No. And if
in Mexico, you'd say it's Julia.
Julia.
Yeah. But I'm saying, we had no problem when we Americanized the name to give it the hard J, but you did not extend that same courtesy to Julio. And I would like to know why.
It wasn't my call.
You.
How about this?
If there's anyone out there that's named Julio but would rather be called Julio, just know that this is the man who's
Have you
preventing
ever in your life heard anyone called Julio?
Now,
it's
wait
like
a second.
the
Isn't
Jesus
there what
Jesus.
was that wine company? Wasn't there an Ernst and Julio?
No, it was
Ernest and
It was Julio.
Julia, I think
I think Ernst and Julio was a wine. I'm looking it up on YouTube, folks.
Say the last
Gallo?
Gallo.
I think it was Ernst and Julio Gallo.
I think it is Julio.
I'm looking it up. Well, you talk amongst yourselves while I find this on YouTube.
Case, then
my zealous advocacy never ends. I don't want you to think I just do it for my clients. I will do it for everyone.
Gallo, I will say this. Now at least we have found a source so that there's at least a rationale for you saying it.
There's no rationale. I made a mistake. It wasn't a big deal.
Well, but see, that's the thing. But that's what we got into an argument about last time, was you thought he was doing it to be funny.
Out.
No,
this is a commercial for them. I think they're going to say the name.
Ernest and Julia.
So far, they're not saying anything.
No.
Wait.
Put it up to the mic. On the top. Put it up.
They just said Julia.
Uh-huh. Right now, they're naming different types of wine.
Don't worry, it's only a 4-minute commercial.
Yeah, no, we're almost there.
We only have an hour and a half show.
Well, we are going to have to speed this up.
He's one of the most... Ernst and Julio. Oh, my God. My defense...
Wow. You know what I think it's important to point out is what you were saying before. This is what it means to be a lawyer, is you are not necessarily advocating for the position you believe with, but you have to have the ability to set your own opinions aside, beliefs aside, because I think people will often say, especially it comes up in the context of criminal lawyers, how can you defend that person? He murdered someone. You're not defending. You are defending that person's right to a fair trial. And that's what lawyers have to do. You got to put aside your personal beliefs and be able to clearly articulate and intelligently articulate either side's position. In law school, in fact, that's one of the biggest things you did, is you had to articulate both sides of the argument.
And honestly, that's the only thing that law school is really there for. Because you don't learn the law. You know, you might not even go to law school in the state that you're going to practice in, so it's not even consistent. But what you do learn is it forces you to look at things from a lot of different angles and be able to articulate it.
To highlight what you're saying, the rules allow you to represent somebody so they can have a fair trial. But the rules also prevent you from putting on evidence that you know is not true.
Exactly. Yeah. You could not suborn perjury.
If your client says, I did it, you can't ever tell anybody that he or she said that. But he then can't insist on taking the stand and say he didn't do it.
Which is exactly why you
You know,
never
so-
want to
right,
ask your
so-
client whether they did it or not.
And I'm one of those
It's
people
very
who
limiting.
went to law school in New York State where, I ever tell you this? One of the questions I got wrong on the New York bar, which I did pass, was I thought it was a trick question. And it was, can you marry your first cousin? And I said, no, of course not. It was multiple choice. And found out afterwards that in New York State, you can indeed, you can't even do that in
folks,
Missouri.
That is
You know
good
what?
news for those New Yorkers with those hot first cousins.
Ed just